Hey guys, Iksar just left some big comments on Wild and Twitter, and I wanted to address them quickly here. So first, Silent Nick says, basically, you gotta do something about Quest Mage. It's just too powerful. He tweeted at Iksar and a bunch of the developers, and Iksar came in and responded and said, no plans on balance changes in Wild. Wild is always going to be a place where very slow control decks have a hard time with extreme power combos that utilize all cards in Hearthstone history. Quest Mage is one example of this, but there are many others. Wild balance changes are mostly reserved for extreme, unfun power swings in early mid-game, or an archetype that appears that is considerably more powerful than all others. And Corbett asked if Darkest Hour fits this definition among other cards. Iksar said, Wild and Standard have different identities. We talk about Wild internally quite a bit, but the bar for making a change is much higher in a format with so many answers. In a world where Mage and Warlock are seen as dominant, you said yourself days ago that Shaman was best. Corbett responds, and Iksar admits that there is a potential disconnect between the team and the Wild community, but that they are in fact trying to do the best thing, and that Wild players might not necessarily enjoy the same amount of changes that Standard players get, even if there is a small minority asking for that. Corbett said, what about changes to decks like SnipSnap? And Iksar said, well, people who don't like when decks like SnipSnap or Big Priest get changed just quit the game entirely, so we might not know how many of those players have been lost due to changes. Essentially, Iksar continues on to say that Wild does not share the goal of Standard, of changing all the time, forcing people to use new decks, that essentially Wild is about always being able to play with your old decks, and that they don't want to shake it up as much as Standard. So what I responded is I said, for the most part, I agree with you. I think that if those are your design goals, you're achieving them properly. But Darkest Hour is just too broken. It's unfun to play against. It checks all of these boxes that Iksar mentioned earlier about extreme unfun power swings in the early mid-game. And in fact, I even posted a screenshot in reply to this. At one point, someone says, pretty much everybody wants Quest Mage to be nerfed, so why haven't you guys touched it? And Iksar said that if they really thought that everybody agreed on nerf, that they would definitely make it. He got a little bit of hate for this comment and responded that making the changes is pretty easy for them, but generally it's something that they want to avoid. And so what I said is I understand your points. However, Darkest Hour is just a little bit too good, and here's a screenshot of me getting 47 mana worth of minions on turn 3 and instantly winning the game. It's just stupid, it's a dumb deck, and it needs to go. But ultimately, I wanted to talk about the main idea behind Iksar's comments, which is that they don't want to touch Wild as much as Standard, they don't want to put out the same amount of nerfs, and for the most part, they want to leave it as is unless they have an extreme reason not to. And though I love Iksar, I love the Wild team, and I love everything they've done for the game, I just have to respectfully disagree with this. Personally, I think Wild is a great game mode. I think it's awesome that people can play the decks that they've had since the beginning of time, and they can update it with new cards across any expansion. There are hundreds of decks that you can play, and there are probably 30 decks that are decent. Just the only thing is that you can't play any of these things if you're only going against the same 3 decks over and over again. If your favorite class is Hunter, you're in big trouble in Wild. If your favorite class is Warrior, but you don't want to play Pirate Warrior, you're screwed. If you don't like Warlock and you don't like Mage, Wild probably just isn't for you right now, and I think just some small changes to some key cards would make a much wider range of cards playable, make Wild altogether more interesting, and it doesn't have to be a mirror of Standard. The power level will still be extremely high, the strategies will be diverse, and you'll just have a more fun and different play experience that isn't necessarily related to high-rolling specific cards, matchups, or combos. So in summary, I think it's totally wrong that they don't want to change Wild, but it seems like this is what we're going to be stuck with because people like Iksar are absolutely in charge of this sort of thing, and they don't have any intentions to change anything. So that means it looks like we're stuck with Quest Mage and Reno Quest Mage for at least until next expansion. And of course, if you want advice on playing and beating those decks, you can check out my other videos on my channel. What did you guys think of Iksar's comments? Go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll let you guys know what I think. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and also check out my Discord for deck lists and my Twitch for live streams, all in the description. Thanks guys, and I'll see you on ladder.